All right, hi everybody. Got something very serious to talk to you about today. I've been looking into this and letting it percolate in my mind for the last few months just to ensure that I'm on track here and that this seems to be the scenario that we're in. Um, a lot of you have maybe heard of there's this Netflix series called I think it's called The Dark Forest. It's based off a book series. What I'm going to talk about is not the Netflix series. From what I've seen about that series is it's not representing what's actually in the book series of The Dark Forest. Actually, what is happening apparently with the Netflix series is just more gaslighting from this enemy parasite that we're facing. Because I think in the Netflix series, they're saying that humanity is a threat because humanity lies. That's just gaslighting because they're the ones that are actually lying to us and inserting lies into our society to destroy us, in fact, as we're going to get into and see. So I'm going to be basing this off the book series, and I'll have a link in here at some point, and these slides will be available to download in PDF form, so the link should be active inside there. So, Dark Forest Encounter. We are in a Dark Forest encounter. And I need your help. And I know this sounds a little bit melodramatic, but we all need my help. There's something that I can do. If you guys can help me, which we'll get into, this planet is in immediate mortal danger. That's what happens when you're in a dark forest encounter. You're on borrowed time. Right now, they're using clandestine methods to try to get to us, get us to destroy ourselves. I mean, if it's found out, it becomes widely known publicly that this is what's happening, they may just go for kinetic kill. I know this sounds extraordinary, but you know how I've arrived at the solution, or at this conclusion, rather, if you've been watching my videos, and I'll present all the summary here right now. And so yeah, let's get into that. So Dark Forest Encounter. So what is the Dark Forest? It's a theory. It's a game theory answer to Fermi's paradox, the quantum physicist, Enrico Fermi. He said over a lunch break one day, "Where is everyone?" And what did he mean by that? He meant, where are all the aliens? So the Dark Forest is a book series called The Three-Body Problem by a Chinese author, Liu Cixin. And I haven't read them, but I've done a lot of reading and watching of the summary of them. The best you could go to is probably this fellow Quinn's Ideas, The Three-Body Problem. He's on YouTube. He has a whole playlist summarizing what these books are about. Very excellent presentation. So go watch those if you want after, just to get a little bit more background and fill in as to what the theory is here. Fermi's paradox, where is everyone? Why did Fermi ask that? So given the Drake equation is an equation that an astronomer came up with, predicting, given how many stars are out there in the galaxy, how many stars should have planets, how many planets could have rocky surfaces be similar to Earth, then you can calculate how many civilizations might be out there, given very conservative estimates. And it ends up being a fairly significant number, a really high number, simply because the number of stars out there in our own Milky Way galaxy, for example, is just so high. In our own Milky Way galaxy, it's 400 billion stars. And so even if you use conservative estimates, I'll show the equation next slide, for all the factors that go into the equation, you still come up with a very high number. And so why don't we see other alien civilizations out there? How come they're not apparent? They should be quite difficult to avoid, in fact. So why do we not see them? So now this gets into Dark Forest. Now consider European encounters with Stone Age peoples. What happened to the Stone Age peoples when the Europeans in sailing ships encountered them around the world? It was not good, a good outcome, was it? And even Stephen Hawking wrote about this. I think even in A Brief History of Time it was, or in some place he wrote about it anyway. And he made this point. He said, do we really want to meet an alien civilization? Because the probability is simply that they're going to be millions of years more advanced than us, because we've only had civilization for a few thousand years. But given the scale of time out there, you're talking millions and billions of years, then it's simply much more probable that if we meet another alien civilization, we're not going to meet one right at the very beginning of the time period of civilization like us, when the civilization, ranges a huge time period. We're just at the beginning. Probably you're going to meet someone that's much more further advanced. So what happens if you meet an alien civilization which is much more further advanced than you? It is not good for you. Look what happened to all the Stone Age peoples that the Europeans meet. It's simply not good. For better or worse, that's what happened. I mean, that was an example confined to this planet. You know, do the so below as above thing, right? What happens if that happens on the interplanetary scale, right? It's not going to be good. It would not be good for us, for anyone, to meet another alien civilization, probably because they're going to be way more advanced and they're going to treat you possibly in ways that you're not going to want to be treated, right? So other civilizations likely to be far more advanced. This is an extreme and total danger. It's not simply dangerous. It is a total danger. I hope you get my meaning by that. It is a total danger. It is a complete danger. It's not something, oh, well, let's try it and see what happens and we'll work it out after. No, it is a total danger which will result in your complete annihilation. Okay? That's how dangerous it is. Okay? You want to not touch. You want to not interact is the solution. And again, if you go into read the books or go into the Quinn's Ideas playlist, he explains the game theory solution for why that works out. Because it only takes one civilization to take that position. Once one alien civilization takes the position that it's dangerous to meet any others, then everyone else has to take that position as well, because the one who takes that is going to defend themselves with the other ones not knowing about it. And that's what's happening here on Earth right now, it looks like. I'll explain that here because maybe that wasn't a bit clear. So solution to this problem of the danger, the total danger of meeting another alien civilization, the solution is to keep quiet. Do not announce yourself. Do not make yourself known. Do not attract attention to yourself, because the last damn thing you want is someone coming to check you out that's more advanced than you, right? What you do have to do then is stealth recon. You have to be vigilant and you have to do stealth recon, constantly looking for other civilizations which could be threats to you. That's what you have to do, right? And then if you encounter them, so keep quiet, you keep quiet, but you have to look around for this danger. And so what do you do then with someone that you discover? Now, even if you do discover somebody that's much less advanced than you, as technological progress, the history of technological progress on planet Earth shows, a civilization can technologically progress exponentially fast with only a few generations. You can go from horse and buggy to, supersonic nuclear missiles, right? Nuclear bombs. So you can advance extremely fast. So just because you might meet a civilization which is less advanced than you does not mean from your perspective that that is not a dangerous civilization. That civilization could become extremely dangerous very quickly, right? And so it's still a danger, right? And so we can't sit here as humans and be like, oh, have mercy on us, we're so weak, because, give us 100 years and we might then come out the stronger, and then we'll be like, oh, well, we have the power now and we can now do whatever we want to you, right? So that's the perspective that an alien civilization is going to take, no matter what, is you're just dangerous. Anyone else is simply dangerous. So what do you do with someone you discover? Okay, so here's just the Drake equation. I thought I'd just show it. If you're interested, you can look that up on Wikipedia. Anyway, and number of civilizations, and that's like the number of stars or the star formation rate, I guess, and just a bunch of factors. You still come out to some high number. Anyway, you can look that up yourself if you want more info. So under this dark forest scenario solution to Fermi's paradox, why we don't see other alien civilizations out there visiting us, it's naturally going to produce parasites or at least parasitical behavior. The other civilizations that's out there that's running the dark forest game theory as a mode of their own survival, and we honestly we should be doing that too by this point. At this point, we should be running the dark forest theory for our own survival. We haven't been. We've been blasting our presence out with the radio waves for the last 100 years. So, I mean, we've probably been discovered. And yeah, in fact, we have been discovered, I think, is what it's looking like. But you're going to get parasitical behavior. So it's not necessary that the other civilizations are parasitical in nature, but they're going to use parasitical means for clandestine warfare. So dark forest theory results in I think in the long term, yeah, you might get a single parasite species because you'll have one species that becomes very good at this stealth recon, looking for everyone else, and it is simply going to destroy everyone else. And so what's the best way to destroy? Well, infiltration and subversion from within, and that's parasitical behavior, right? How does a parasite infect a caribou, right? What's the nature of a parasite? It hides inside, right? That's the nature of a parasite. It hides inside, right? And then of course that, in my books I talked about what does a wolf do. Unfortunately, in the end, the only thing that the wolf can do is test the animal itself, test the caribou. Okay, caribou, do you run really well? If you run well enough away from me, you'll live because you must not have any parasites. If you don't run away from me well enough, well, and the rest of the herd does, so, well, sorry to say, you probably have parasites. The only way to protect the herd as a whole, individually, you're going to have to be expended. You're going to have to be food for the wolf. But for the herd as a whole, for the species as a whole, your sacrifice being food for the wolf gets that parasite, right? Because the wolf eats the parasite, and then the herd as a whole survives. So it's a net good, right? It's that whole dialectical relationship that I've explained previously. And just thinking about that, I just thought how interesting it is how you have these expressions from certain religions, how the lion will lie down with a lamb. And I realized, who would want the lion to lie down with a lamb? Who would want the wolf to lay down with the sheep? Who would want that? The parasite would want that, because then that would mean that the wolf isn't eating the sheep and testing the sheep or testing the caribou, right? Sorry, my phone. So it's kind of an interesting thought, right? Who would want the lion to lay down with the lamb? Who would want the wolf to lay down with the sheep? The parasite would want that, right? Just maybe a connection is there, right? So duck force theory results in a single parasite species occupying everywhere. It's simply going to do that as a means of survival once it becomes a spacefaring civilization or otherwise a noetic faring civilization, a civilization that can traverse the noetic spheres across the universal subconscious domain and detect where other species are. Then as a means of protecting itself under dark force theory, it's simply going to start destroying all these other civilizations, and it's going to look like parasitical behavior. And it could easily just become parasitical behavior. Yeah, because how's it going to do it? We're going to get into that here. It's going to do it by infiltrating, by pretending to be you or inside you, by getting inside you and destroying you from within, right? So dark force theory encourages parasitism, or at least the behavior of parasitism. Right. Now, on the other hand, a lot of people would ask me, well, channelers, astral travelers, that should encounter other civilizations routinely, like there's the Pleiadians and the Galactic Federation worlds and blah, 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 and all that. Who knows? I don't know. What do they often tell you? They often tell you that they're here to help humans. Well, are they? Maybe that's just a lie. Maybe those are other civilizations being simulated that the parasite species have destroyed previously, and they're just pretending, because what's the worst thing you can do? The worst thing you can do is sit around and do nothing. Oh, the Pleiadians are going to save us. Oh, the Galactic Federation of Worlds is going to save us. Oh, some other alien species is going to save us, right? Well, you sit around and do nothing. That's the best. That's what a parasite would love for you to do, is to sit around and do nothing, right? Waiting to be saved, right? So I'm just saying, that whole aspect of sitting around waiting to be saved does not really look good anymore in the end, does it? In the books, the Dark Series books by that Chinese author, Liu Cixin, he talks about advanced scout technology. So a civilization might not be able to bring a physical kinetic weapon that quickly. That might take a few hundred or a few thousand years. Because space is, after all, vast, and it takes time to physically send a weapon, right? But in the meantime, it sends things that it can move quicker, and I think in the books it's still a physical technology that can just move fast and get to the other target planet that they want to destroy quickly. But as we know from ontological mathematics, this would actually be done through the noosphere, through the universal collective subconscious domain, through the singularity domain. And so you send technology to the other planets to weaken the opponent, and he specifically says with fake science. Now that really stood out to me. That really, really stood out to me. Like, I just discovered this after writing my previous books in and after my last video, I think it's been a while since I made a video, and it just fits so perfectly squarely with everything I've been writing about, with even with ontological mathematics, and just with what my conclusions are. I mean, it just fits perfectly. Okay, so sophistry, paradox is science. So in the 3-body problem series, the enemy civilization sends, guess what he names them in the book? Sophons. And what's my whole thing? Climate of sophistry, right? Sophistry, meaning BS bullshit, right? Bullshit science to target the rival civilization. Now, why do you want to do that? As I just said, because if you meet an alien civilization that's less advanced than you, well, they have the potential to, within only a few generations, become extremely advanced and exceed your level of advancement, in which case you become, an actual threat, right? So what do? You hamper that target civilization's science. That's what you do, right? It's perfect. Early arrival scouts, by some means, mental means, in ontological mathematics, we would understand it probably as a mental noetic means, a noetic parasitical behavior of some sort. Scouts which hamper development by inserting illegitimate pathways of scientific investigation which lead mostly nowhere, although they do produce some results which make them seem worthwhile. So that's what's happened to us. Our technological development has only produced mass mental slavery and dumbing down. Now think about it. Think of these phones, right? Think of these phones that have been put in our pockets, monitoring us 24/7. Who would want that? I can't think of any reason why a human would want that, but who would want that? An alien civilization that was intent on monitoring us and monitoring every single thing we're doing to make sure that we're not advancing because it wants to destroy us because it is worried that we might become a threat to it. Yeah, it just fits all so well. So our technological development has only produced mass mental slavery and dumbing down, bread and circus, mental retardation, but spectacular, 75-inch flat screen TVs with endless sports ball and the most retarded just television. You know what I mean? Just the most retarded, pointless television. You have a whole world of people sitting on the couch watching television, right? So mass dumbing down, but it's spectacular and it seems great and it seems like we're so advanced, right? It seems like we're so advanced. Seems like science is really doing stuff, but is it really? It's actually just totally retarding us, isn't it? And totally weakening us, right? So when did this start? As I've said in my books in previous videos, it began with Einstein. And it may have began even longer ago than that with religion, the failure of the destruction of the Pythagoreans and the takeover of other religious forms, which simply did not lead to much development for us and stagnated us for a very long time. But in recent times, in terms of halting what could have been different pathways of recent technological development in the last 100 years, then that really begins with Einstein inserting his paradoxical thinking, as I explained in my recent books, as a means of scientific reasoning. So he inserted thinking paradoxically as a means of solving scientific problems. So come on, think of that. What's that going to do to us? That's going to destroy our ability to figure out what base reality is made out of. It's going to prevent us getting to ontological mathematics. It's going to seriously hamper us, right? So hijacking of relativity theory, then that same scheme of paradoxical thinking went into quantum mechanics and gave us probabilism and the attendant nihilism, because we can't understand what existence means or is, and so we just become nihilistic. I'll return to that point later. And then now in modern times, where is it led to now? So now we must due to, as I've been describing, due to flat Earth theory for climate science as a foundation of climate science, due to flat Earth theory for climate science as a foundation of climate science, now we must radically alter the environment to stop altering the climate, right? So it's just like we're just embedded with paradox. We cannot stop ourselves now from thinking paradoxically. I wrote about this in several of my books about how paradoxical thinking, cognitive dissonance, has been inculcated as intelligence, as a sensation of intelligence, right? So, yeah. With terraforming schemes. So we're going to radically alter the environment with terraforming. So what it amounts to, terraforming, right? They want to block out the sun. They want to remove carbon dioxide. That's what terraforming is. You're terraforming the planet. You're changing the basic form of the planet to be something else, right? So we're going to remove carbon dioxide and block out sunlight. Uh, yeah, and that's, they say, going to save the planet and stop the planet from having climate change, when in fact that's the most radical possible climate change you could possibly conceive, and it would lead to the destruction of life on Earth, right? But scientists can't detect that anymore, either because they are sophons, they're the sophon technology, the scientists pushing this and doing this, and it's just, whatever, however it works, it's infected the whole academic system, this sophon technology, right? And so paradox is okay. It's okay to have paradoxes like this, and the bigger the paradox, the better, right? Because as I've been explaining in my books, the bigger the paradox, the better it feels, right? They've been inculcated to feel good about paradoxical thinking, right? And so that's a wonderful paradox. Let's radically transform the planet in such a way that'll destroy it in order to stop the planet from changing, right? It's just wonderful paradox. So this is happening to us, guys. This is happening to us. It is. Let's see. Yeah, so you guys have seen this slide before. Just to review a few points on it, not to spend a lot of time. So solar radiation management, they want to block out the sun. They're saying that they want to do it without having to go through government. They want the money from governments to do it, but they don't want to have to deal with the electorate. They don't want to have to deal with who is elected, government leaders. They just want to be able to go ahead and do this. Yeah, right. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, just to block the sun. And I got a video here to show you next, which shows that they really truly are planning on this. Israeli scientists engineering bacteria to eat CO2 instead of sugar. It'll live on carbon dioxide rather than sugar. Well, what happens when that escapes from the lab? You have a brand new life form. It's designed to eat, and it's bacteria, so it's not going to stop. It's just going to exponentially replicate, like in a petri dish, until it eats. In a petri dish, bacteria exponentially replicates until it consumes all the sugar, and then it dies, and then you analyze it. Well, now Earth is a petri dish, but instead of it eating sugar, it's eating carbon dioxide. What's going to happen to the carbon dioxide in the air? It's all going to get sucked out as this bacteria exponentially replicates, right? Talk about total destruction. Talk about total destruction. You don't have to go to 0% carbon dioxide. You only have to go to about half where we are now, and we were already getting down there before CO2 started increasing. That's a curious point. It'd be really good to look into how that's arranged. Maybe there is some good guys that came in. Maybe it's mind a guy or whatever it is. It's a good thing that at this time we started increasing carbon dioxide, because it would have been a lot easier for them to implement this plan to remove carbon dioxide to end all life on Earth if carbon dioxide hadn't bumped up a little bit. And of course, geologically, if you know, evolutionarily, we're still at even though carbon dioxide levels have increased, we're still at a geologically, evolutionarily very low concentration of carbon dioxide. It could easily go up another 3-4 times and be totally fine and be better, because that's what plants actually prefer. So just more examples. Blotting out the sun, something that would stay between us and the sun all year long. Yeah, that's great, right? Like that's what we should have all year, meaning permanently, right? If it's all year long, well, that means permanently. Yeah, something between us and the sun permanently. Yeah, that's good, right? That's the sanest thing to do. Okay, and then here's an example. So that's all sophon stuff. Now here's sophons that I dealt with directly, right? You guys have seen this before. I'm just reviewing. I'm not going to show the slides. My whole thing is I'm saying that instead of doing flat earth theory for foundational climate science, which results in wanting to remove carbon dioxide and denying that the sun heats the earth, let's use a spherical earth for the beginning of climate science. And when you do that, the math changes because it's different math, and you show that, oh wait, the sun creates the climate, and there's no greenhouse effect like they're talking about. There's no danger from carbon dioxide, right? Okay, so I did that, and look, this can only be produced. Remember in a recent video, I said, and in my recent book, I said, this is a paradox. This is like a paradox in the space-time continuum. How do you explain this? How do you explain a paradox in the space-time continuum? This three-body problem series is the explanation, and I came up with the idea on my own that it looks like we're being invaded or something by some sort of noetic parasitical species. Well, this three-body problem explanation just completely completes that picture. It just fits into that picture perfectly. Like, I've been stunned since learning about this three-body problem series book, because it just perfectly fits in with what I've been saying. So yeah, the proposed spherical model is incomplete and quite wrong in so many ways. Yeah, as opposed to their flat earth theory, right? Crazy, right? Should be some solid theoretical evidence provided to support that your proposed idea of a spherical Earth is better than the flat Earth, which they currently. I mean, these are crazy comments. All right, I've said these before. We've been over them before, so I don't need to do it again with you, but you can read them. But these are just, this is SOFON technology. This is SOFON technology and it's just the best way to look at it. I mean, if you want to summarize it, I mean, even if it's not correct, it's correct enough. It's a good way to look at it, right? I called it a noetic parasite, that there's a noetic parasite here. Let's call it a SOFON technology from an alien species that's trying to hamper. It reduces to the same position that we need to take for self-defense, right? That's what I mean. So they really do want to end all life on Earth. They really do mean it. We have it in words. They're going quite out of their way to justify it and engineer it while pretending environmental virtue with, of course, fake science, right? So let's listen to this, for example.
Solar radiation. The goal is to reduce Earth's temperature by 1.5 degrees.
Okay, so why 1.5 degrees? Why is that a goal? I mean, it's just kind of arbitrary. It's, oh yeah, that sounds important, right? Oh, that's scientifically peer-reviewed. We have to reduce the Earth's temperature by 1.5 degrees. 1.5, everybody, not 1.4, not 1.6, 1.5. Okay, oh yeah, that's what we need to work for, and this is what we're going to be able to do it. Okay, so let's watch.
To achieve this,
now look at how reflective this thing is. Okay, that's going to be important in a sec.
The goal is to reduce Earth's temperature by 1.5 degrees. To achieve this, we need a shading layer of immense proportions, 2.5 million square kilometers.
So shading layer of immense proportions.
To put it in perspective, its size falls between that of Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Leading this climate innovation.
So this is a climate innovation. This is that sounds spectacular, right? Oh, a climate innovation. Yes, a climate innovation. Oh, I love climate innovations. Climate innovations are the best. That sounds so
Space
smart.
Research Institute in Israel.
Again, why in Israel? Why is Israel involved in so many of these schemes to terraform the planet? I mean, just like there's a lot. It's disproportionate. You know what I mean? It's a disproportionate concentration of institutes in Israel, from Israel, that want to do this. Strange, right?
Our effort involves developing a groundbreaking mission with a small spacecraft designed to prove the feasibility of the shading solution. Reaching L1, opening the shading layer, and controlling it by using only the solar radiation pressure. The spacecraft will move back and forth between two equilibrium points without a propulsion.
Oh, it'll move back and forth between 2 points without propulsion. Could anything go wrong?
Simply by opening and closing the shading layer. Offering a minimal risk, our unique cost-effective approach.
Oh, it's minimal risk. Let's just say that.
Approach paves the way for scaling up to the full-size solution needed to cool the Earth and mitigate the effects of climate change.
So we're going to purposefully create a massive amount of climate change to stop climate change. Okay.
What's more, it's reversible.
Now it's reversible. It's reversible. So guys, what does that come in? Here, I'll just let them finish the statement, because what does it even mean?
It's reversible, giving us the flexibility.
What do you mean it's reversible? I mean, really, what are they saying? So they showed you, didn't they show how much shade? Yeah, so look, first of all, look at the amount of shade. Look at what they're depicting. Like, we just went through that solar eclipse that went across the United States, right? And people standing in totality are like, wow, the temperature drops like 10, 15 degrees Celsius within 30 seconds. Like, it drops. Look at the sun, and that's just like a few, 100 kilometers across the path of totality in a solar eclipse. Look at this. That's how, guys, that'll freeze the planet. That will freeze it solid instantly, right? That'll freeze it solid. And then, it's reversible. What does that mean? Well, that means that as it's moving from one point to another, one Lagrange point to another, it could offset slightly, and it's so damn reflective, you could just offset it slightly, and now you could use it as a parabolic focusing dish. So on one hand, you can freeze a planet, and then you can, this thing got all screwed up, got all discombobulated, and now it's focusing sunlight, like that area of extra sunlight, but like a magnifying glass, onto Florida or wherever, and vaporizing it. Like, this is total and complete utter destruction, right? This is an alien civilization trying to get us to destroy ourselves. That's what it is.
What's more, it's reversible, giving us the flexibility to adjust or remove the shading as needed, providing a constant and controllable climate solution. Cool Earth. Together,
Yeah,
we can save
climate
the planet.
solution. Yeah, that's going to save our planet by freezing it and then having some device out there that can be reversed and offset and then also scorch the planet. You know, it's all bullshit, right? It's all so practical position. There's many ways to dissect it. I mean, you can look at this from scientific materialist perspective versus ontological mathematics perspective, universal consciousness perspective versus what other species. But in the end, set all that aside. I think at this point, you just have to take the most efficacious perspective. The perspective which would help us the most, protect us the most, frame the situation the best, even if it's wrong on some details, it's still going to, if we frame it this way, it's still going to benefit us in terms of survival. For the time being, until newer, better additional analysis, empirical data may be developed, even if it's overturned, for now, we need a framework to help us to survive. That framework is we are experiencing a dark forest scenario with an alien civilization which found us, seems like probably a few thousand years ago. It's certainly become very active as we became technologically, with the technological revolution. It really went into high gear then because it really wants to stop technological development for us, because obviously that's where the real danger lies. It's pretending to be us, as I've discussed in my books, using NPC technology, forum technology, and this, from these books, Sophon technology, to deplete humanity, us, of intelligence, and it is now moving to a global depletion of life on Earth using humans and their human tech, fake humans, whatever it is, Sophon technology, pretending to be humans, NPCs, to do it. Okay, we must treat the situation in this way. Consider our survival under the most profound and dangerous threat, facing total and utter enslavement and destruction. I think that's the only way we can look at it now, because I've presented the evidence. I've shown you what happened in the peer review system. I showed you what they're doing and where their climate policies are leading to. This is factual. It's real world. This isn't being made up. I'm drawing a little bit from science fiction because of that three-body problem series set of books, but it's just because it fits in so well to what I've scientifically determined. All that I've presented, I'm not making this up in terms of science fiction. I'm showing you what happened in the peer review system. I'm showing you what happened with this climate science fraud and where it's coming from and how they defend it as flat earth theory, even though they shouldn't be supporting flat earth theory. I've shown you, and so has Hockney shown you with ontological mathematics, what Einstein did to destroy relativity and what quantum mechanics has done to destroy our ability to comprehend reality. Okay? It's all real. This is all happening. Even if it's not happening, it's still happening. Do you know what I mean by that? Even if it's not happening, that there's an alien civilization to us doing this to us, it's still happening in the sense that then we're just doing it to ourselves, and we need to stop ourselves from doing this to ourselves, right? So it's happening either way you look at it. So we can stop this. How do you stop it? We can stop it with reason, which means with ontological mathematics, right? But how? Practically. The books are done. The authors seem to be gone. Think of all of the shenanigans that this ontological mathematics movement has suffered now. Think of that. Why? Why was there so much shenanigans over books? Over books that simply say, hey, here's a better way to do religion. Hey, here's maybe a better way to do politics. Hey, here's maybe a better way to do science. Oh, and hey, did you know what? Pythagoras had a really good idea about mathematics. And guess what? Mathematics is really important in science. So doesn't it make sense that we should think that, math has something to do with reality? The fucking bullshit that was suffered by people, by lots of people. People almost freaking died. Maybe some people have, I'm not sure, but it was freaking close for some. I know that. Like, so much fucking hostility and bullshit over books which are really just, they're pretty innocent books. They're not that extreme a book, but so much freaking, so why? Well, of course. The last damn thing you want is for humanity, right? If you're an alien civilization, you view this as a threat. Last damn thing you want is humanity developing ontological mathematics, which is the true comprehension of reality, how light works, relativity works, what the solution to quantum probabilism is, and all that, because then that gives you the keys to, if you think we've had exponential technological development now, wait until we release the keys, the proper way of thinking in terms of ontological mathematics. What we did now will be a tiny little blip in the last 100 years, and what will come will be a huge exponential rise in technological development. Yeah, giving us a Star Trek / Star Wars future with, I would think, technology similar to what you see in science fiction, which then, of course, would make us extremely powerful and would make us be perceived as then extremely dangerous because, if you're if you're a paranoid alien civilization, or even just one that's subscribing to this game theory solution to the Fermi Paradox, then yeah, that makes us extremely dangerous, right? So that's a great explanation for what has happened with all this freaking bullshit and shenanigans that have gone on with these books, which are just innocent books, and then it would also explain why they have to be secret, why the authors had to keep themselves quiet, because they're really releasing really crucial fundamental information that can save us. Well, yeah, that would make them targets, wouldn't it? So of course they have to remain anonymous. Of course they have to remain in a secret society, or however it is that they work, So we can stop it with reason. How? By demonstrating an experimental result which the prevailing paradoxical paradigm cannot explain with a paradox, right? Because that's what they're doing now. They're using paradox, for example, the double slit experiment, right? So what did they do with the double slit experiment? They took do it this way. So here's source, here's two slits, and here's a receiver, right? So the paradox is actually linear this way, but it's not actually a paradox because you can actually explain it with the property of light and the fact that light doesn't experience space and time. And then it's no longer a paradox. It's actually it's weird, grant you that, but it's explainable and it's demonstrable with math, and it's understandable in a mechanistic manner. What they did is they took that quote unquote apparent paradox, which isn't really a paradox, and they turned it 90 degrees, and they made the paradox between the two slits. And now you have something which cannot be explained mechanistically and rationally. And that is then where they inserted the probabilism interpretation, where a photon is two different places at the same time. And from there, you're just completely destroyed. You cannot solve it. And you just have, probabilism, which leads to nihilism. And I'll get to that in a sec. So it's a result. So we need to do an experiment which produces a result which can only be explained with ontological mathematics, and it cannot be explained with the prevailing paradoxical interpretations. Okay, so thereby that would overthrow the paradoxical paradigm, and it would give ontological mathematics a foot in the door, an opportunity to replace it and correct the ship of human science and reason, saving us from destruction. Okay, that's what we need to do. That's the goal. That's where we need to go. I need your help to do that. I need your help to do that. It seems like that's where my life is leading me and telling me to go, but I need your help to do it. I need support. Like, I know the experiment to do. I know how to do it. I have a place to do it. I've talked about it in previous videos. I talked about it in my book. If you've been paying attention, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to repeat what it is, just I know what it is, and if you've been paying attention, you know what it is too. And I've already had Sophons actually contact me and say, don't you dare do that experiment. You don't need to do it. Please don't do it. And the same Sophons who say, there's nothing wrong with climate science starting off as flat earth theory, right? So interesting coincidence that the Sophons who are insisting to me that flat earth theory is the basis of climate science are telling me, please don't do the experiment that you have. There's no need to do it. The prevailing probabilism interpretation, it works just fine, so they don't want me to do it. So I know the experiment to do. I know how to do it. I have a place to do it. Okay. I know physicists and mathematicians who can help do the math. If I can't do the math, I know a few that aren't Sophons that I could get to help. If I needed help, I could probably do it all myself anyway, but help would always be good. We will not, I know this sounds all melodramatic and a lot of it, but like I said, I'm just presenting to you what is. if you've been paying attention and watching, you know that this is what is we will save not only humanity but carbon-based life on Earth, because that's what they're going for. They're going to end photosynthesis, right? By removing carbon dioxide, blocking out the sun, they want to stop photosynthesis, which basically ends all life on Earth. So this will also open a pathway to an ontological mathematics Star Trek future, Star Trek, Star Wars type future, okay? This is a big deal, okay? You can help do this. You help me do this, and I will do it, okay? It sounds incredible, but yeah, like I said, this is a situation. Our science is at a complete stop. Now, in my previous video, you might have been taken aback when I was kind of making that voice and making silly at their scheme, but basically their whole scheme of destruction is as simple as that. They're simply introducing paradox to our thinking, which makes us not be able to understand reality, and then in our state of not being able to understand reality, we become nihilistic because we're like, we can't understand how the hell this works. This is the most bizarre, strange, probabilistic, quasi-reality which is indefinite and seems to have no definite behavior or features. Well, hell, we're stuck. We can't do anything with that. Existence, therefore, seems meaningless. It's interesting, right? It's interesting that meaninglessness goes along, and nihilistic meaninglessness goes along with an inability to understand reality, right? And the contrast that to Hegel, who, for example, in ontological mathematics, Lunoism, where basically ultimate meaning is found in understanding and comprehending reality, right? So think of that, right? There is meaning. That is where you draw meaning from, is in understanding and comprehending reality, right? So the flip side of that is make humans not be able to understand reality by giving them all this paradoxical thinking in relativity theory and in quantum mechanics. Make it probabilistic, a quasi-reality, something that just has no rational ability to understand, for you to understand it whatsoever, and that generates nihilism, right? And then from nihilism, you get a species that simply self-destructs because it can't find any meaning in existence because it can't understand existence. So that's the scheme. That's the overarching psychological scheme that we're being inflicted with. Make them not understand reality, they'll become nihilistic, they'll destroy themselves because they'll do any paradoxical thing that doesn't freaking make any sense anymore because they're so bewildered. Let's block out the sun and remove carbon dioxide, because what the hell else are we going to do? The photon is going through two different slits at the same time, and that just makes no sense. There's simply no way to reconcile that in reason. And so, yeah, let's block. I mean, it seems like a strange connection, but it goes from there to there due to nihilism, due to paradoxical thinking, due to ingrained paradoxical thinking in the academic system. Okay, so we are at the crux. We are at the moment. We're at the crux. We're at the moment. We can save this now and turn it around with this experiment, which I can do, which I know how to do, which will destroy this paradoxical thinking and give ontological mathematics a foot in the door. Or we don't, this is a little melodramatic, but I mean, yeah, I have no way to do this on my own. I have no way to do it on my own. I need your help. I need your help. If you know anybody with funds or anything, like, just whoever you can contact, I'll have how you can support me in the next slide. But that's just where I am. I'm not suffering ego inflation. I'm not being megalomaniacal. I am currently suffering, real things that are really making me question my sanity. And it's just, this is the only thing that's real. I'm not being egotistical here. This is what's happening. Okay. I need your help, and you're going to help. This is the situation we're in. So support this work. So what's this going to support? It's going to support the Institute for Applied Ontological Mathematics. What I can do is I can incorporate that. No problem. I know how to incorporate that. I can issue shares, voting shares. You could buy shares if you want. In the short term, I could use just whatever funding. I mean, if even a person had a few Bitcoin, Bitcoin's worth a lot more now, but there are whales out there. I don't know, and Ethereum has gone way up. Just, I don't need $1 million, but maybe half would be good to get this experiment done. I might be able to do it for a lot less. I need a place to do it. I know I have a place picked out that I would like to go could do it at safely. And anyway, yeah, I could do that, or I will do that, no problem. I could easily, once I had some funding support, I need like a patron, like in the olden days, it would be patrons. Rich people would pay for scientists to do experiments, and then they would, get the patent or whatever. So it can be run like that sort of system, because this is going to develop and lead into a brand new technological avenue and scientific philosophical avenue. Because ultimately, yes, I mean, yeah, it's great. The books are great, write all the philosophy and all that, but what do humans need? Humans are like, what's that state? The show me state. Missouri? Humans need, whatever. Humans need to be shown. They need to be shown. I mean, ultimately, we are an empirical species. We have to empirically interact with the world, right? So humans need to be shown. I can show it, okay? So Bitcoin address, Ethereum address. Yeah, I could use help, and this help is going to help the world. It's going to fix this problem that we're all facing. Now, I know I don't have that many followers, that many watchers, but if you can network, send this out to people, show people, explain it to them what's happening, and this video should hopefully do it, and a few other of my videos should explain what's going on. Of course, there's PayPal directly and GiveSendGo directly. Yeah, and of course, there's my books if you want to read. Now, mostly what I've been talking about is an experiment to do. That's mostly involved with this last book, Debunking the Simultaneity Paradox, Solving the Double Slit Experiment. Basically, we're going to do extend off that, what's discussed in there. Of course, as far as the dark forest theory goes, you could read the whole development, the whole suite, the whole story arc here, and then read the three body problem, the dark forest series books, just to see how it all fits together. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I could really, really use your help to do this. I know it sounds a little melodramatic, but I've presented the empirical facts. We have the empirical facts of what has happened with the ontological mathematics Hawking writing, right? That's a weird curiosity. We have the empirical facts of what's happened with climate science and what I've shown through the peer review system, and the paradoxical comments that are, a rift in the space-time continuum, quote unquote, with regards to that, right? Hawking has discussed at length what Einstein did to hijack relativity theory and what quantum mechanics has done to destroy our ability to comprehend reality. These are facts. They've been explained. They've been demonstrated, right? I've demonstrated some of them empirically by going through the peer review system as an actual professional scientist, right? I've written lots of peer-reviewed papers solving some of the most complex astrophysics algorithm problems in the world that have ever existed, right? So, and I went into the peer review system on this other climate stuff to research what's happening, and I demonstrated what I've demonstrated, and you guys have seen that. So this is real. I know it sounds incredible and bizarre and unbelievable. It seems to be the state that we're in, and I seem to be the person in the position to be able to move this forward. Okay? I seem to be the person in position to be able to do this experiment, to understand what it means, to be able to write about it, to be able to perform it. Okay? So please help. Yeah, I could use several Bitcoin, and whatever that equates to in Ethereum. You can look up the Bitcoin price today to get an idea of what I mean by several Bitcoin. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. But, in this grand scheme of things, that's not much, right? That's really not much I just don't. I would do it myself if I had the money. I just don't. I just don't have the money. If I had bought Bitcoin when it was first out, I wish I'd have bought more. I bought a couple, and I don't have them anymore. I wish that I bought 100 or 1,000. Maybe I could have, easily when they were worth like $5. Anyway, stupid. No point friggin' griping, right? We need support right now. This is going to have an effect right now. It's going to, in the grand scheme of things, it's not much to right this ship. And I know it sounds absurd, but save what's been happening to us, save humanity, save us from this self-destruction. that's happening for whatever's the reasoning. Either we're doing it to ourselves, or there really is a dark forest, a three-body problem scenario happening to us, which explains what's happening to us. And either way, we need to unlock ontological mathematics in the mass human psyche and get its foot in the door. I know how to do that. I'm pretty sure I know how to do that. I'm pretty sure that this experiment is the right thing to do. I mean, you guys know that I've been around this almost from the beginning, right? Ontological mathematics. All right, so that's all I got to say. I mean, if you can help, please do, because I'd like to fulfill this potential. You know, I have this potential. I would like to actualize this. I would really like to actualize this. So if you can help, please do. And I'm pretty sure that this is not just a quirky thing. I'm pretty sure that this is actually really important for the future, you know, in history. All right, of humanity, right? Seems to be that way. Okay, guys. All right. Thanks for watching. Yeah, pretty profound stuff. All right. Yeah. Take care. I hope to see you again. I'm not sure we will, but I hope we do. Okay? All right. Bye.